All right, hello, amazing people at Minnesota State Fair. Thank you for joining us. Right now, we have pork. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Brad Kluver, and my family farms just south of the Twin Cities by Northfield. We raise mostly hogs on our farm, and this is some pork from one of our pigs.
And this is, all right, guys, this is a beautiful piece of meat. And we're gonna show you, cooking a pork chop, but we're also gonna show you what you can do with a chunk of loin. So this is pork loin, and this is a delicious piece of meat that not enough people respect.
Well, pork's got great flavor. I might be a little biased on that, but pork has great flavor. It's a relatively lean cut of meat, so it's healthy. We are working through genetics and through nutrition to bring some of that marbling back into the meat that adds some of the flavoring. With that being the case, there's a lot of nutrients, just a lot of health benefits to eating pork itself. A lot of B vitamins, iron, and it tastes great.
So now we're gonna take this loin and turn it into some pork chops. So first we have some not so pretty ends. And you can use all of this, and I actually love the really dark side because I think it has more flavor and a little bit more marbling in there.
So with the not so pretty ends, would
Yes.
you cut that up and use that for,
Yeah.
for like kebabs and...
Kebabs or stewing. I love doing like a lamb tagine because it's great with those sort of curry spices that you see a lot in sort of Mediterranean cooking. We're gonna do about an inch thick chop. That seems about a good size. And you wanna cook this as, do as minimal about a dragging as you can. So these are going to be what we cook off right now. We are going to salt and pepper. Then we're just gonna kind of sprinkle these a little bit. Because, well, you can't get anything on the inside. So we are going to salt, pepper, both sides. I just have gross hands.
Sorry if I'm trying to do the right amount here.
Nope. Less is better because we can always season more later.
Is that good?
Yep, that is good. Let's see. All right. We're gonna get this to a medium high. For cooking, I have a mixture of olive oil and vegetable oil. That way you get the flavor of the olive oil, but the higher smoke point with the vegetable oil. We're gonna add some oil in, and then we'll start grilling, because we should have enough heat in here. Yes. All right. So if you look at the oil in the pan, you'll see some sort of ripples, and that's a good way to see that your pan is hot enough. So we are going to put these bad boys in, and you got the sizzle. I love the sizzle. I love that sound. And this is going to form a nice crust. Usually if you cook them about 4 to 5 minutes, how thin they are on each side, they should get cooked well enough.
Okay.
And still have a little bit of pinkness in the middle.
And I know, when I generally am grilling pork chops at home or frying them on the grill or on the stove top, I'm shooting for about that 145 on cooking temperature.
Yeah.
I know you can cook it to about 140 degrees, and then you cover them and they'll continue cooking after they're off.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to pick up those extra 5 degrees. It all depends on how well done you like your pork.
Yes.
I have family members that prefer it more well done, where I'm more on the medium rare.
Yep.
Like to have a little bit of pink in that meat as well.
Yeah. All right, so the loin, find that in the
pig. So the loin is generally going to be right along the back, kind of along both sides of the spine of the pig.
Okay.
That's going to be where your pork chops come from. Also, your leanest cut of meat, pork tenderloin, which will be, that's as lean as a skinless chicken breast. So if we're looking on the health conscious side, a tenderloin is another great way to go.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're generally located along the back. Some of the leaner meat on the pig as well.
Yeah. All right. Oh, take a look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. It's got a nice crust on it. It's so pretty.
And like you said, pork, there's so many different cuts of meat. There's so many versatile ways to cut it. I think it's just kind of a learning curve as you go through figuring out, how to utilize it. If you look at buying a half a hog or a whole hog, you're getting a lot more cuts of meat that you maybe typically wouldn't. So it's just learning how to cook those. There's some great resources out there. I know Minnesota Pork has a list of recipes you can go online and find. So if you're wondering how to cook stuff up, there's some great resources, and it's fun to experiment and try a little more and get out of your comfort zone a little bit.
Let's take a look at this. We're getting there. It's just a slow process, guys. But we are getting there, and I think in a moment we can pull these off, and then we'll use all that fun oil that's already in there to cook everything else. Meat thermometers, important piece of equipment to have in your kitchen, right? So when you're looking at the thermometer, you have the dial. The temperature danger zone, which we talk about a lot in professional kitchens, is between 41 degrees and 135 degrees. After, before that, you're good with cold items, and above that for hot items. So on the thermometer, there's also that tiny, tiny little dimple, and that's where the sensor is. So sometimes some thermometers, you get it all the way up, and then you have to stick it all the way into that dimple. So we're gonna temp some of these, and we're gonna see where we are. Let's take a look. So when you're cooking the meat, you wanna kind of stick it into the thickest part of the meat, and you wanna check the temperature in at least 2 different spots. So we're gonna take this pork chop, which is fairly thick, and I'm gonna poke it into the side, and we wanna get it out of the heat, because if we stick it in like this, it's gonna read that temperature down at the bottom of the pan. So we wanna kind of get it away, and we're gonna see where we are. I think we're good on this one. So this one is a little thinner, is ready to go. And it's really important, if you don't know what the meat's supposed to feel like, or the texture, or anything like that, it's hard to say for sure if the chop is done, or if any meat is done. So having a thermometer is really important for us to have. And it can go as fancy or as simple as you want. This one is really great for just any everyday cook. The dimple is low enough. And, oh, there we go. We are good. So these are all done. They're at about 145 degrees, and they are going to sit and rest for a little while. That heat will continue to cook them a little bit while we kind of work with what we have here. So we are going to start, I love garlic. So I always start with garlic. Not everybody likes it the way I do, but I am all about the garlic in my food. But we are just going to cook this for just a few moments so that it can kind of get fragrant. Then we're gonna add in the apples. And the apples have that sweetness. And these are a baking apple. I can't remember which ones they were, but they have a little bit of acidity in them. So they'll start to kind of pick up some of that little bit of fond on the bottom. So, I mean, not everybody likes the combination of apples and garlic, but I think it's just a beautiful, beautiful combination. And we're just gonna let that cook for a moment. We're gonna turn that heat down just a tiny bit, because we also want to release some of those juices. And after this is cooked for a little bit, we'll throw in a tiny bit of the Fresno. Now with peppers, if you like a little bit of heat, the less you cook them, the less capsaicin escapes, and the less spicy it is, I guess. And these are mostly de-seeded, so there isn't too much spice to begin with. So we are going to throw these in here. We won't throw them all in there.
So, growing up in Minnesota, we weren't overly adventurous with our food. So, growing up, the staple was pork chops, and we would have asparagus, potatoes, and that was, an easy go-to, easy to make meal.
Yeah.
Tasted great. Lately, we have a 1-year-old son at home here, and we've been trying to be a little bit more conscientious about what we eat and planning our meals, and we've done a lot more roasts lately. So we've used that pork shoulder, the pork butt, in the crock pot, and that's been an easy way to save time.
Yeah.
We can add some of that garlic in there, and actually that's been what I've used for my lunches a lot of days. Either that, or if we cook up ham for breakfast, we can have some of that extra ham and slice it up for sandwiches through the week. But I think, yeah, having asparagus is my favorite go-to. That's probably my favorite vegetable. And there's a farm down the road that raises it, so it adds a little flavor that way.
Yeah. So we're gonna do the spinach kind of in batches, because spinach reduces so much, guys. If you're cooking with spinach, you know, it reduces by about 85%. That's how much moisture is in this. So we really want to cook this down a little bit. So we're gonna slowly add in more. But this is just looking beautiful. What do you normally feed your hogs? Like, what sort of diet do they get?
So we live on a farm that we raise mostly corn and soybeans on the land that we run. The corn is the main part of the diet, and then the soybeans get turned into soybean meal, which provides the protein for the pigs, where the corn is providing more the starch and the energy in the diets. So we get to use the crops that we raise, and then the pigs actually produce the fertilizer that we use to raise those crops. So
it's the circle of life.
It's the circle of life there. So most of the diet is corn and soybeans, but we also work with a nutritionist to make sure that we have vitamins and minerals and all of the different amino acids that the pigs need in the correct ratio. So it's really a scientific piece going in to figure out what these pigs need to eat to make sure we get the most nutritious and most efficient cut on the meal, or on the plate.
Now, I worked with places that do pig buckets. Do you ever work with different restaurants to sort of get different variety, or is it just mostly based on what you guys farm?
So when you say pig buckets, are you talking for like almost slopping the pigs per se?
Yes.
So we don't do that because we're not always sure. Just with the number of pigs, we want to make sure everybody's getting what they need, and you can have a little bit more variability in the ration when you're bringing in. There are farms that bring in like bakery products. Yeah. You just have a little bit more variability in that feed, and we want to make sure that the nutrient levels are correct for every pig, so we keep everything as standard and straightforward. Okay. So it's a good healthy diet for them. Yes. However, we do kind of our own form of slopping. The feeders are set up where the water pans are right next to it, so then the feed will actually mix with the water. So when we have these 90-degree days in the summer like this, pigs are more likely to eat because they're getting a little extra water with that, and it just keeps them more comfortable. Okay. Because pigs really don't like the temperature extremes that we can have in Minnesota. It gets a little cold for them in the winter, and in the summer they're not as they can't sweat like we do. Yes. So maintaining their temperature, or their body temperature, is a little bit more of a challenge. We have fans in the barn. We have sprinklers set up to try to keep that barn as cool as we can when we have those 95-degree days. But it's still a challenge. Growing up, we didn't have air conditioning in the house, and the barn actually typically stayed cooler than our house did. So that's where you wanted to sleep then? Yes. Because pigs are actually a pretty clean animal, right? Yes, so pigs are going to be one of the cleanest farm animals out there. They select a corner of the pen that they will sleep in. They're very social animals, so there is a social hierarchy when you go into that pen. But they have a corner they sleep in and a corner that they defecate in, so they stay clean. And by keeping them indoors and keeping them cool, we don't have to worry about having the big mud piles where you can have some insect and other challenges sometimes that come into play as well. Oh yeah. All right. Well, guys. That looks fantastic. Yeah, it's almost like kind of a wilted salad-y sort of thing. You could actually just do spinach on a plate, but I think it looks so much prettier this way. So we're gonna clean up for a moment and then we'll do some plating, guys. All right, so our apple, spinach, garlic thing is done. And guys, this is actually really good with pasta as well. So you could do some pork and pasta and then this all mixed together. That's kind of what I eat myself on a regular basis.
So we're just gonna take a little bit of this and we're gonna put it down on the plate. Because what we want is we want the meat to be the center. So we want this on the bottom, but we still want to see a little bit of it. And then we're gonna cut. And I'm gonna do this at a little bit of a bias so that it can kind of fan out and it look pretty. But look at how beautiful that cut is and that color.
Just a little bit of pink.
Just a little bit. So we're just gonna, and you can kind of see the marbling in there with a little bit of the fat.
You're much more precise with that knife than I would be.
It's all about how sharp the knife is. So then we are gonna take this and we're gonna put this on top. And there you go. We have a beautiful pork plate, guys. And if you want to, there's some sauce in here that's like apple juice and stuff. And you just drizzle a little bit of that over. You don't need a lot though, because this is like perfect the way it is. All right, there you go. There is our pork.
That looks fantastic.
Thank you.